Guardians of the Galaxy, retroactively referred to as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, is a 2014 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comic Books superhero team of the same name. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, it is the 10th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Directed by James Gunn, who wrote the screenplay with Nicole Perlman, the film features an ensemble cast including Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldaña, Bautista, Vin Diesel, and Bradley Cooper as the titular Guardians, along with Lee Pace, Michael Rooker, Gillan, Djimon Hounsou, John C. Reilly, Glenn Close, and Benicio del Toro. In the film, Peter Quill and a group of extraterrestrial criminals go on the run after stealing a powerful artifact. Perlman began working on the screenplay in 2009. Producer Kevin Feige first publicly mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy as a potential film in 2010, and the Marvel Studios announced it was in active development in July 2012 at the San Diego Comic-Con. Gunn was hired to write and direct the film that September. In February 2013, Pratt was hired to play Peter Quill, Star-Lord, and the supporting cast members were subsequently confirmed. Principal photography began in July 2013 at Shepperton Studios in England, while filming continued in London before wrapping up in October 2013. In addition to original score by Tyler Bates, the film's soundtrack includes several popular songs from the 1960s and 70s, chosen personally by Gunn. Gunn, for example, chose the song Hooked on a Feeling by the artist Blue Suede, as well as Come and Get Your Love by the artist Redbone, to be used on a mixtape in Quill's Walkman, which acts as his way of having a connection to Earth. Gunn went on to add that using songs from the 60s and 70s were culturally reference points, saying it's striking the balance throughout the whole movie. There's something that is very unique, but it also is something that's easily accessible to people at the same time. He said, I wanted to remind people that Quill is a real person from planet Earth who's just like you and me, except that he's in this big outer space adventure. Guardians of the Galaxy premiered at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood on July 21, 2014, and was theatrically released in the United States on August 1st as part of Phase 2 of the MCU. The film became a critical and commercial success, grossing $772.8 million worldwide, and becoming the highest-grossing superhero film of 2014, as well as the third highest-grossing film of the year. The film was praised for its screenplay, direction, acting, humor, soundtrack, visual effects, and action sequences. It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards at the 87th Academy Awards and received numerous other accolades. A sequel, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, was released in 2017, and a third film, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, will be released in 2023. The cast includes Chris Pratt as Peter Quill, Star-Lord, a half-human, half-alien leader of the Guardians who was abducted from Missouri as a child in 1988 and raised by a group of alien thieves and smugglers called the Ravengers. About the character, Pratt said he had a hard time as a kid, and now he goes around space making out with hot alien girls and just being a rogue and a bit of a jerk. Though teaming up with these guys, he finds a higher purpose for himself. He added that the character is a bit of a mix of Han Solo meets Marty McFly. Prior to filming, Pratt went under a strict diet and training regime to lose 27 kgs in 6 months, transforming his body completely. Zoe Saldaña as Gamora, an orphan from an alien world who seeks redemption for her past crimes. She was trained by Thanos to be his personal assassin. Bautista as Drax the Destroyer, a warrior who seeks to avenge his family's death at the hands of Ronan. On relating to his character, Bautista said, I can relate to Drax so much, it's not even funny. Just the simple things we have in common. Simple things like tattoos, the tragedy because you know I had a bit of tragedy in my life as well, so it's really easy for me to pull that out. Vin Diesel as Groot. A tree-like humanoid, he is accomplice of Rocket. Diesel stated that he provided the voice and motion capture for Groot after originally being in talks to star in Phase 3 Marvel film. Bradley Cooper as Rocket, a genetically engineered raccoon-based bounty hunter, mercenary, and master of weapons and battle tactics. Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser, a Kree zealot and war criminal who agrees to retrieve an artifact for Thanos in exchange for the annihilation of his mortal enemies, the Xandrians. Michael Rooker as Yondu, a blue-skinned bandit who is the leader of the Ravagers and a paternal figure to Quill. Gillan as Nebula, an adopted daughter of Thanos who was raised with Gamora as siblings and a loyal lieutenant in the employ of Ronan and Thanos. Glenn Close is Irani Rail, the leader of the Nova Corps known as Nova Prime, whose mission is to protect the citizens of Nova Empire and keep peace. And Benicio del Toro as Tanlir Tivan, or the Collector, an obsessive keeper of the largest collection of interstellar fauna, relics, and species in the galaxy, who operates out of a place named Nowhere. Additionally, Josh Brolin appears uncredited as Thanos, through voice acting and performance capture, taking over the role from Damien Poitier. Now, this movie breathed some fresh life into the MCU universe, which to this point had taken itself sometimes maybe a bit too seriously. In Guardians of the Galaxy, we have an irreverent look at a different type of comic book. It's a fun, thrilling, full-hearted, action-packed, visual, splendid ride. And for me, James Gunn brings his unique, quirky style with fantastic over-the-top visuals mixed in with some offbeat comedy done in a cheeky style. For me, Gunn was a perfect choice for this film, and a bold one at that too. But I think one of the things that actually played in Gunn's favour was that these characters weren't as well known as some of the Marvel's other creations in the comic books. I think in that way, people didn't really have much expectation going into this one, and Gunn was given more free rein to create his own vision of the Guardians. Like, for example, allowing the actors to ad-lib and play off each other, and also having it a bit more looser and a bit more fun and over the top and colourful than some of the other heavier MCU entries we had seen until this point. This film never takes itself too seriously and is really done in a tongue-in-cheek tone, albeit in keeping in line with the massive action sequences and huge grandiose storylines that the MCU is known for. Pratt is absolutely great here as Peter Quill / Star-Lord. He really does now combine his comedic style, which of course he had developed on shows like Parks and Recreation, and now he mixes it into his now action leading man status. Of course, he transformed his whole body as well, going from the chubby guy in the corner to having the leading man six-pack. It's a huge transformation, but he is perfectly cast and leads this film so well. In saying that though, the whole cast are incredible and their chemistry just works perfectly. It literally just feels like all the actors became genuine friends, and it really does shine through on screen. One of the standouts has to definitely be Dave Bautista here as Drax the Destroyer. His naive sense of humour, where he tries so hard to be serious and hardcore, and it makes him absolutely hilarious, with some of the best lines delivered in the whole movie. Also, the voice work here by Bradley Cooper as Rocket is just great, and even Vin Diesel just repeating the words "I am Groot" in different tones though, just really works. Zoe Saldaña brings a more serious tone to the team, but she is excellent as Gamora, and her chemistry with Pratt just works for me. Karen Gillan as Nebula works as well as an entry point for the character, as does Michael Rooker's Yondu, but of course these characters were developed further in the later films. I think my one gripe though with this film was Lee Pace as the annoying whinging Ronan the Accuser. He's a bit of a bland one-dimensional baddie and really doesn't just add much to the film, and frankly can just be annoying. The one thing I have to mention in this film is the fantastic, phenomenal soundtrack, and the music really just adds to the story and seems almost like an extra character. It's a real nostalgic trip, and what I hope films like this do is make people realize how fantastic 60s and 70s music was. And Quill's mixtape was just one great album that I had to get after watching this movie. I think it was those little elements, the colourful aspects, the music, the grandeur aspect of the CGI action sequences, also the wonderful chemistry between the main cast, and the way the film never really takes itself overly seriously, that made this film really stand out for me in the MCU. Guardians of the Galaxy gets a 9 out of 10.